Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Canine Revolution Radio. This is episode number 43. Also, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Hope everyone had a good Christmas. Ben, did you have a good Christmas?
Had a great Christmas.
What'd you get?
Got some Jocko jeans.
Nice.
From
you wearing
this
them?
guy right
Are you
here.
wearing them right now?
You didn't notice?
I didn't notice. Are you
I
wearing
got
them?
them on.
What do they feel
Chris
like?
noticed first thing when I walked up. He was already salivating at the mouth. You guys are obsessed with Jocko.
Well, I had a busy morning. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So
you weren't thinking about the Jocko.
tell
jeans.
me about the jeans. What do you think?
I'm not a stretchy jean guy, but they're comfortable.
Those are the
They're
Delta
comfy.
68s.
Mhm.
Those are the best jeans you can get.
They fit good around the hips.
They
If you
fit
got
good.
a lot of junk in the trunk, these things rest on it. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're doing your squats out there in 2022.
Those are nice jeans. Delta 68s.
What'd you get for Christmas?
Got some of these Jocko drinks.
Wow, more Jocko.
Good to go.
What a shocker.
Good for you. Got some candy. I threw that away.
Yeah. Wow.
Got some beef jerky. That was good.
A lot of food, a lot of Jocko. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Any gift cards?
Actually,
Anywhere good?
I think I did get an Amazon gift card. Oh, I got a Cracker Barrel gift card.
Oh,
Cracker Barrel's
hey.
good. Yeah.
All right. Sounds like we're going to have to go to Cracker Barrel.
Pretty good. Cracker Barrel's got, they got the old man breakfast. What do you call it? Grandpa's breakfast.
Yeah,
special
Grandpa's
or something.
breakfast, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Grandpa and Grandma's,
They also got Mama's special breakfast. That's good.
Mama's French toast. That's the one
That's
they got.
French toast. Yeah, that's good. They also have really good rainbow trout.
What?
If you never had the rainbow trout at Cracker
What?
Barrel, it's pretty good.
That's going to be a no-go for me. Ain't getting no rainbow trout from Cracker Barrel. That's definitely not fresh.
It's good, boys. I had it last time I was there.
I ain't been there
I
in
got
a
an
while.
extra one, too. I had 2 rainbow trout fillets. It was good.
Big
With
fish
some broccoli.
guy.
Broccoli on the side.
Nice. Your whole plate already is just disgusting.
Had some coffee. That
All
was
right,
good.
now we're good. Finding something good here.
All right, let's jump into the topic today. We got some puppy questions, puppy Q&A today, puppy training. Puppy training is super important, especially to me. I'm very passionate about training the puppies overall, because if people can train their puppies the way they want their dog to act when they're older, it means less issues later in life, right? It means all the behaviors that they desire from their dog are built up from the ground up. So we have a good foundation built if we train our puppy properly. So trying to get as much information out there to help people train their puppy the way that they want to train their puppy. Okay, and if you guys have questions, let us know. We have 2 other podcasts dedicated to puppies. This is a puppy Q&A. But like I said, if we can train our puppies to behave like we want them to behave, build them from the ground up, lay that foundation, that means we're going to have less issues later in life, less aggression, less insecurity, less anxiety. Doesn't mean it's going to go away completely, but there's going to be less of it, less dogs being forfeited to shelters and rescues, right? Because the puppy's not behaving properly. So let's get into it. We got some puppy questions. What do we got, Ben?
All right, we'll start with the first one right off the rip. We got the first question. What is the first thing to train your puppy?
Good question.
So first thing we're doing when we're
First
talking
thing.
about training, right?
Yeah, first priority to me is getting that potty training taken care of.
Absolutely.
That's just a big deal, because number one, it's annoying if your dog is going poop and pee in your house.
Yep.
Plus, we just want to build up that good habit. Now, it's going to be kind of painful at the beginning, and we've talked about potty training in Canine Revolution Radio episode number 2. We've talked about potty training, the specifics of how to do it. So if you're looking for those specifics, go to episode 2. But it's just important to get that potty training done just to build those good behaviors and habits right from the get-go. It means it's less frustrating for you as the owner as you proceed in life with your puppy if you can get that potty training done. Plus less fatigue for you as the owner, because if you're always cleaning up poop, if you're always cleaning up pee out of the house, if you're always waking up,
It's annoying.
right? It's annoying. It fatigues you, right?
House
It's
starts to stink, maybe.
your house
Carpet
starts
gets
to stink.
stained. Yeah.
Plus, if your puppy's going poop and pee in the house, it's going to keep doing it because it smells it. It's building the habit, all that kind of stuff. So first thing to take care of is potty training. Also, do not use puppy pads.
What?
Do not use puppy pads, because if you just let your puppy go potty in the kennel or in the house with puppy pads, they're still getting used to going potty in the kennel or the house. So let's not even do that. You know,
What about in the kennel? What about in the kennel? Put them in the kennel.
Not in the kennel. Well, you can not puppy pads in the kennel.
No,
Definitely use the kennel for your puppy, but do not put puppy pads in the kennel.
So we're not using them.
We're not using puppy pads, period.
Mm-hmm.
We're not using them, period.
Yeah.
Just because that's building up a bad behavior. If your puppy thinks it's okay to pee on a puppy pad in the kennel, when the puppy pad is gone, it's still going to think it's okay to pee in the kennel. If you got a puppy pad in your house and your puppy's used to going potty there, then you take the puppy pad away, the puppy's still thinking it can go pee in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So just don't even go down that road. Don't even use them.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
All right, bottom line.
All right, next question.
Next question. What should I, or we, how do you stop a puppy from peeing or pooping in the house?
How do you stop a puppy from peeing or pooping in the house? So we got a whole episode dedicated to that, episode 2, specifically on potty training. But really quick, you need a schedule and you need structure. All right, so schedule means as soon as your puppy comes home, implement a potty schedule for them. You know what I'm saying? That means every couple hours, take your puppy out to a potty area on a leash. Show them that's where they go. If they go, say good, reward them, right? Bring them back in. If you catch them trying to go potty in the house, just say no and take them outside. It's not a big ordeal. So you're not going to grab their face, shove it in the poop or pee. It's just no, put the leash on them, take them right outside.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's the foundation of the schedule thing. You're going to adjust your schedule as time goes on. And then structure, make sure you're building your routine and structure around the house to prevent any accidental potties, right? So use a kennel at nighttime when you're not home. Use an X pen when you are home to contain where your puppy can go. Always supervise your puppy. Keep a leash on them if you're letting them wander the house. That way you can easily grab it and guide them where they're supposed to be going. So these types of things, okay? So this is what you need to implement. If you haven't implemented it already and your puppy is going poop or pee in the house, you need to start implementing this immediately to alleviate it from continuing and to build up the new behavior. You know what I'm saying? But again, check out episode 2 of our podcast for the details on how we're going to do that.
Yeah, and that episode includes the structure as well, how you should structure, the whole 24 hours every day with that puppy.
Yeah.
So, next question, what should I teach my puppy? Just in general, what are we looking at? I think that's a pretty general question.
Teach it everything.
You can teach it whatever you want, right?
Teach it everything you want. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You might want something from your puppy that I might not want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody's going to have different desires, different things that they want their puppies to be doing. But in general, for the average person, I would say you definitely want to teach it to be a loose leash walker, right?
Yep.
So we got a couple YouTube videos on how to do that. You know what I'm saying? But basically, put your puppy on a leash. If there's tension on the leash, you're going to walk the opposite direction. If your puppy's in vicinity of you, you're going to say good, give them a food reward in vicinity of you to build up reinforcement history of being close to you, loose leash type situation, right? So repetitions of that will help alleviate that, you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely teach your puppy to be a loose leash walker. I'm a big fan of engagement and eye contact. So you definitely want your puppy to learn to look at you despite things that are going on around you, distractions, things like that. You know what I'm saying? I also like standard obedience stuff like how to sit, how to down, how to stay. The stay to me is very important because it allows us to do healthy separation. It also allows us to ensure the safety of our dog in different situations. I like teaching a spot or a place command where your puppy can go over to a pet cot, lay down, stay there until you let him up otherwise. And then like a recall, general recall, come on command.
Very good. Very critical.
Critical for safety, critical for well-being, critical for just overall control of your puppy. You know what I'm saying? So at a minimum, teach all those things. You also need to do socialization work. You also need to do distraction work, which is taking your puppy out, giving them good experiences, teaching them that even if you're at Lowe's Hardware, they still got to do a downstay. They still got to do a come command. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, those are all the basic things I would recommend for the average person. And then change those up as you need to based on you and your preference with your puppy. And we also have videos on our YouTube channel on how to do some of that stuff. So
yeah,
good to go.
All right. So how would you punish a puppy?
How would you punish a puppy? So
how should we approach it?
Yeah. So punishment, you want to take a step-by-step process. You know what I'm saying? Some people have a negative connotation with the word punishment, so I don't want you to think of it as it's not yelling at your puppy, it's not hitting your puppy, it's not being crazy on your puppy. Everything we do should be calm, confident, relaxed, no matter what's going on, no matter how frustrated we are. Now, with that being said, sometimes when we're frustrated, we can kind of act out a little bit. We can get a little bit intense, and that's okay, but we need to learn from that, you know what I'm saying, and try to not let that happen. So with that being said, how do you punish a puppy? First of all, we have to teach our puppy what we expect before we can start punishing them. So we need to set up our schedule, our routine with our puppy. The potty training kind of blends into this as well. Set up our schedule, set up our routine, set up our structure. That's allowing us to teach the puppy what the expectations are. We're going to teach expectations with food rewards. Let them know when they're doing things we like them doing, right? So eye contact, for example, how to sit, for example, not running out of doors, for example, right?
Yeah.
So once our puppy understands that expectation through repetition of getting those rewards for doing the right thing, now when our puppy tries to do it, let's just say trying to run out of a door, for example, if I open the door and the puppy tries to dart out the door and I've taught them to sit there and wait for me to say out, they try to run out the door, I'll just stand there. They're only going to get as far as the leash, right? Then I'll just bring them back to me with the leash, have them sit, reward them for sitting, and then calmly walk them out. So we call that, negative reinforcement, just because when they reach the end of that leash is going to tighten down on them a little bit. So it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, and that discomfort goes away as soon as the puppy turns around and comes back to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's, reinforcing the fact that staying with us until we say out is what you're supposed to be doing. Now, once the puppy comes back in this situation, we say good, we provide a food reward for them, and then whenever you're ready, you say out, right? Now, as you progress through that, through repetition, if the puppy continues to disobey you in these situations, then you're going to say no and give a quick pop on the leash, right? And this is what we call our standard correction. Say no, give a quick pop on the leash, right? And that will correct, right, the undesirable behavior of rushing out the door prematurely, and then you reward them for sitting until you tell them to go out, okay? Then you could continue to progress into like remote collar work if you wanted to, but how do you punish a puppy? To answer the question, take a step-by-step process. Number 1, teach your expectation. Number 2, start to implement some accountability through the use of negative reinforcement first. Remember, tightening the leash. As soon as the puppy does what it's supposed to do, the leash goes slack. And then number 3, implement a standard correction, which is like that leash pop, or could be progressed into remote collar work later, just depending on the people's desire. So you think that answers the question?
Yeah, I think you could rephrase this question instead of the word punish, like you said, negative connotation with the word. Obviously, it sounds a little bit more harsh. I guess you could say, how do I hold my puppy accountable, right, for bad behaviors? And look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
So how would you hold your puppy accountable for peeing in the house, like peeing on the carpet,
Yeah, so...
And this could probably be something frustrating too.
Oh,
if it happens over and over, or like as a puppy, it's going to happen.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to happen. It's definitely going to be frustrating. So like I mentioned, when we were talking about the peeing and pooping in the house thing, a lot of people asking questions about peeing and pooping. It sounds like potty training's a big deal. But going back to, how do you hold a puppy accountable for peeing on the carpet? Well, number 1, does the puppy know the expectation?
Yeah.
So it depends on where we're at in that progression we just talked about of, teach an expectation, implement negative reinforcement, and then implement standard correction, and then progress from there. So I'm just going to assume the puppy doesn't know that it shouldn't pee on the carpet. Yeah. So in that case, if I see the puppy peeing on the carpet, I'm just going to say no, grab a leash, and just take it outside. That's it. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't catch the puppy peeing on the carpet, but I see the pee later, there's literally nothing you can do. Yeah. Just know that we need to implement more stringent schedule pieces and also more structure pieces. Yeah. So the puppy is not able to pee on the carpet. Yeah. We probably failed to provide proper supervision for the puppy, for example.
That might happen from time to time.
It might happen, boys.
Puppy might sneak off someone when you're not looking.
Yeah, but, so you just got to be super vigilant. Use an X pin. If you're not going to pay attention to your puppy, use an X pin. Keep your puppy in the X pin. It's contained in there. until you're able to supervise it as it wanders around the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it sounds like just overall from what we're talking about right now, it's probably going to be better just day one when you get your puppy to go ahead and slowly start implementing those expectations, right? Yeah. So that we're already, when it gets to that peeing on the carpet, when it gets to holding your puppy accountable for any sort of bad behavior that you don't want it to perform, you already have those basic concepts introduced to it, and it doesn't have to be day one. Slowly introduce it to your puppy.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. You know what I'm saying? As soon as that puppy comes home, you need to immediately start implementing what you want your puppy to be. Yeah. It's not this thing. Some people are like, oh, I want my puppy to be a puppy. Like, your puppy's still a puppy. Yeah. But if you allow it to jump on people, if you allow it to chew your hand, if you allow it to pee and poop in the house, if you allow it to scratch at the walls, guess what? Those things don't just go away on their own. They don't just go away with time. They don't just go away if you just, neuter or spay your puppy. Nope, that's not going to work. You literally have to build up the behavior you want. Yeah. So day one, A1, when that puppy comes into your house, start. Be prepared ahead of time. Yeah. Have your schedule set up. Have your structure set up. And as time goes on, you may want to tweak little things here and there to adjust it to your needs, right? And that's what we want you to do, okay? So, yeah, you just hit the nail on the head.
Set yourself up for success. Yeah. Make sure you have the kennel. Make sure you got that X-Pen if you choose to use one, all that stuff like that.
Exactly.
So what is the best time of day to train my puppy?
Best time of day to train my puppy.
Is there a good time, or is it all the time?
I mean,
I guess whenever you're awake. Huh?
Yeah, you should be incorporating training throughout your day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
if possible.
Yeah, if possible. I mean, it's possible because you got to take your puppy outside to go potty. Yeah. Right? So take that opportunity to work on going in and out of doorways, work on making sure the puppy's going potty outside. When you're outside with it anyway, might as well just do a couple repetitions of some kind of obedience, luring.
Maybe just start trying to engage,
Engagement, lure some sits, lure some downs, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So throughout your day, incorporate short, small training sessions. And like I just said earlier, you got to take the puppy outside anyway. You got to come back inside. Take those opportunities to work on going through doorways. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So what is the best time of day to train your puppy? Throughout the day. There's not going to be a one specific time of the day that's the best. Now, let's say you have a focused training session. Let's say your goal is to work on your recall command, your come command, right? And you want a dedicated training session to that. Perfect. Pick out the best time of your day that works best for you. For you, that may be 3 p.m. For me, that may be 3 a.m. I don't know.
That sounds about right.
I don't know. So whatever time works best for you in your routine, do your more focused training work at your most optimal time. Yeah. Now, if that time changes, let's say Monday through Friday, you like training at 3 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, you like training at 11 a.m. Good to go. Yeah. Just implement. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That puppy would be ready to play.
Your puppy's ready to rock and roll
at any time,
Yeah.
So moving on to the next question. Can I train my puppy myself?
I don't know, Ben. Can you train your puppy yourself?
It took me a while, but I did it. I probably could have structured, training my puppy myself a little bit better to help myself in the long term. But, something that Chad told me, reminded me whenever I was training my own puppy that it's not a race. You got time. You're really not constrained for time for any sort of reason, because your puppy is going to be with you for X amount of years, into its later dog years. So there's no need to rush the process of training your puppy if you decide to go that route, There will be frustration. There will be there will be frustration, but there will also be good moments where that what you're doing is working. There will be those moments, but then there will be those moments of, I feel like I took a couple steps back, maybe take a break, maybe take some of the training time off that day, let yourself cool off if you're getting frustrated, because you don't want to, make your puppy frustrated as well by excessively, just overworking, or just, stressing the puppy out at any sort. So, but I mean, that's just from my experience, Yeah. So,
There will be frustration. Mm-hmm. There will be toil. Mm. There will be blood.
What?
There will be sweat. There will be poop and pee.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, can I train my puppy myself? Absolutely. Now, with that being said, you might need the guidance of a experienced person that knows puppies, that knows dogs, to coach you through certain things.
Yeah.
And part of that is the reason why we're doing this podcast. Part of that is the reason why we do our YouTube channel. Part of that is the reason why we're developing other things online in an online format to provide insight and information to people, so that they can do this stuff on their own with their puppy, get their puppy to where they want it to be. Remember, your puppy you may not want your puppy to be at the level that my puppy's at. I may not want my puppy to be at the level your puppy's at.
Yeah.
You may not like your puppy sitting. You may just want it to lay down. Mm-hmm. I may want my puppy to sit and not lay down, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Right? So we just develop what we want from our puppy in different situations. You may be okay with your puppy digging holes in your yard.
Yeah.
I may not be. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now the chickens, they can scratch a little bit.
Yeah, they've done their digging in the yard, that's for sure.
But with that being said, can I train my puppy myself? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But don't hesitate to reach out, get some coaching if you need it to help through different parts. And if there's some shaky ground, maybe your puppy's starting to act a little bit aggressively toward you, you don't know how to handle that, reach out and get some assistance on that. Usually if a puppy's doing that, it's either insecure or a little bit dominant. And there's different protocols that we should put in place to help work through those different difficulties. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's capable of doing it themselves. Yep. But it does take time, a lot of time. It does take repetition, a lot of repetition. If you start to feel like you're burnt out trying to get all your repetitions in, that's why board and train programs like ours exist, because we can do the repetitions for you and then basically hand you the keys to do the maintenance on your puppy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So hope that answers the question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So moving on to the next question. How do we teach our puppy or your puppy its name, the name we have given it? Or maybe we have a puppy. In my situation, my puppy already had a name given to it. I wanted to change the name. How do we go about that?
Yeah, so teaching your puppy its name is all about classical conditioning. And what classical conditioning is it's some kind of cue that predicts something else that's reinforcing to the dog, right? In this case. Yeah. You could also use it the opposite way. But anyway, so if we're teaching a puppy its name, let's say our puppy's name is going to be...
Bruce.
What?
Bruce.
The shark.
Bruce the shark, yeah. I don't know why Bruce came to my mind, but...
So let's say
we're
we're teaching a puppy to be Bruce, right?
Old Brucey.
So we got our puppy with us on a leash. We say the name Bruce, and as soon as our puppy shows us any type of attention, right, we say good, we give them some food, right? Or we say Bruce, and then we just shove food down to them, right? So they start to associate that the name Bruce equals food. We do want to progress from there. So as time goes on, we say Bruce, the puppy looks at us, we say good, we give him food, right? And we can progress from there. But basically, you say the puppy's name, you provide them something reinforcing, preferably food. Over repetition, you start saying the name, the puppy associates that, and then you're going to stop using as much food in that situation.
Yeah. And I mean, basically, you're already doing engagement at that point.
Right.
That's basically what engagement
is.
is. So at that point, you're already training.
Right.
You might as well just
already training.
Do engagement all the time.
Yeah,
and then turn that into further obedience behaviors.
Yeah, that goes back to the question, what is the best time of day to train my puppy? It's literally... you implement it in your day, so I'm teaching my puppy my name. That's part of training.
Yeah.
You just do that throughout the day. You do that for 30 seconds, five times a day, you're going to see progress. 30 seconds is longer than you think it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
you'll be out there with your puppy doing it. We've been out here for a while. It's only like 5 minutes.
You lose track of time.
Or you lose track of time, I guess. But you're like, oh my gosh, we were out here for an hour. You come back, it's like 5 minutes.
You're having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically, do that. And then just honestly, just start using the puppy's name all the time.
Yeah.
Just get yourself used to calling it its name.
Another scenario, puppy, you're waking up, puppy's in its kennel. Bruce, as you walk to the kennel, right? Put the leash on it, take it outside. That way, that's kind of like another signal.
Yeah.
And in this case, you say the puppy's name, you take him outside to go potty. The act of relieving the pressure on their bladder is reinforcing to them. It
Yeah.
feels good to pee.
Yeah.
Does it feel good when you pee?
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel
Ever
good
had
when
a
you
full
pee,
bladder at 3 a.m. in the morning?
if it doesn't feel good when you pee, then there might be an issue.
You might need to see your doctor. Yeah. All right, moving on. Should I spray my puppy with water? Well, the old water bottle trick, huh?
Water bottle
I do
trick.
that to my cat.
Your cat.
It works with a cat. Let's just say that.
Does it, or do they take off out the door?
No, let's not get started on that.
Lauren, if you're listening to this, you're welcome.
That wasn't a water bottle situation. Let's just say that, okay?
All right. Should I spray my puppy with water? That would be a negative. Do not spray your puppy with water unless you're playing with them and they like chasing water.
I guess it's a water gun or something. Huh?
Yeah, but I'm assuming this person's talking about the old myth. You catch your puppy chewing on something, you yell at them and you spray them with water. Mm-hmm. And the answer is no, do not do that. Number one, it's probably going to be ineffective, or it might be effective for a very short period of time, and then it becomes ineffective, right? But the underlying concept of that, why people do that, is to create a superstitious association, meaning if the puppy's chewing on something we don't want him to chew on, we spray him with water. The intent is the puppy doesn't like it and spray with water, so they associate that with chewing on the item, so they stop chewing on the item. The issue is they may only associate that with that one item, so let's say it's a sock. So they won't chew on the sock anymore, they'll chew on the shoe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And number two, you're going to be really inconsistent. Sometimes you'll spray them, sometimes you won't.
Yeah.
So in that case, your puppy's actually being even more reinforced than not than punished, because if your puppy's chewing on a shoe and you spray them with water, 1 out of 10 times that they're chewing on the shoe, 9 out of 10 times they're getting away with it, so they're being reinforced. You know what I'm saying? But to most dogs, it's going to be ineffective, so wouldn't even go down that road.
And then you got a wet dog.
You got a wet dog, you got water in the house all over the place, you got mold, you got bacteria, all that stuff. So follow a good training progression.
So
right?
instead of the water, I mean, if you already have the leash on the puppy, you could just
if you already have the leash
pull
on
the puppy away, just redirect. Or I mean, if you are at the stage where you want to start issuing accountability with a small leash correction, you don't want to go ham on the puppy's neck. You don't want to.
The best thing to do, honestly, let's say we're taking the puppy chewing a sock scenario. It's a puppy. It doesn't know what it's supposed to chew and what it's not supposed to chew. It just knows that it wants to do something.
It might be teething.
It might be teething. So the best thing to do, set up your structure in your house so that there's no socks accessible to the puppy. This prevents the puppy from even having the opportunity to grab a sock. Now, with that being said, you continue in your training progression. You get to your accountability phase in your training progression. Now, let's say the puppy's wandering around the house. It finds a sock. It chews on it. Now you can implement true accountability. No, pop on the leash. No, correction on a remote collar if you've gotten to that point. You know what I'm saying? To resolve that situation. But you follow a step-by-step progress. Go back to our other puppy training podcast. Go back to our training progression podcast, to talk about all these different factors, an ideal training progression from step one to finish. Follow that, and then whenever you get to the point where the puppy's free wandering, then you have the fair, balanced opportunity to apply the accountability. But at first, it's a puppy. It doesn't know what it's supposed to do and not do. So set up your house to ensure success for the puppy. Now let's say, your husband, because the husbands are always the issue. Husband comes home from work, takes his shoes off, throws them,
slings the socks across
takes the socks, throws them.
Yeah.
You've been doing all this work with your puppy.
Kicks his feet up.
He kicks his feet up on the recliner. He falls asleep, taking a nap. He's got a Coke in his hand. Puppy finds the socks, chewing on them. What you need to do in this case, just walk over to your puppy calmly, say no, grab the leash, walk the puppy away from the sock, offer it something instead of the sock. So like food, another toy. So you're basically redirecting it off the sock, and then slap your husband in the face, get him to get up.
Go get the water bottle. He can spray him with the water bottle. He don't like that.
Tell him to get his shoes and socks put away. Holy crap, you know what I'm saying?
Time to
husbands are always causing the issues.
All right, so how long should I play with my puppy each day? Well, for some puppies, each day. you ain't going to stop playing. Some puppies just love to play. I mean, most puppies.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But you also need to teach your puppy there's a time to play, a time not to play. You know, you heard that plenty of times growing up, didn't you? Huh?
Too many times.
There's a time to play, time not to play. So you got to be balanced. Your puppy can't think that it's playing all day long, because if so, it's going to build this hyperactive mentality. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it needs to have rest time. Sometimes it needs to have play time. But back to the question, how long should I play with my puppy each day? That's literally going to depend on you and your puppy. Some puppies, like Ara, for example, might be able to play for 30 minutes. When other puppies, like let's think of who, like some kind of bulldog, probably might play for like 2 minutes.
Get worn
out. You know what I'm saying? So go off your puppy's energy levels. You don't want to overly smoke your puppy, play too hard where they can't breathe or having a hard time breathing or recovering from it, because that might make them not like it as much, you know, if they get too exhausted from it. So make it fun. And ideally, when the play time is at the peak, when the puppy's having the best time of its life, that's when we stop the play time, so that we can build upon that later. You know what I'm saying? So let's just say, for example, my puppy likes playing tug with one of those things. You have a pole, right, and something on the end, and you're having the puppy chase it around. Your puppy's having a great time, right? We stop it. When the puppy's having the best time of their life, we put the pole away. We're all done, right? So we're teaching the puppy some self-control, that it's time to stop. Next time we take it out, the puppy's going to go ham, because the puppy's ready to keep that play up, right? Versus if I play that till the puppy smokes itself, then we take a break. Then the next time we come out, I smoke the puppy again. Then we take it. The puppy might not like it as much because it's just getting, you know, too exhausted all the time. Or you might just build up this crazy stamina level, right? Then your puppy might just have this crazy stamina level all the time. So how long should I play with my puppy each day? It's going to depend on your puppy's age, your puppy's personality, temperament, how much time you have, all that kind of stuff. But I would say at least 2 sessions a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, have a little bit of fun with them. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I would say a good gauge, 3 to 5 minutes, have some fun. And
if you put that toy away, all done. And the puppy's still wanting to play. You know, how do you address that? How do you, the puppy's amped up. He still wants to keep playing. You're ready to shut it down.
Right.
How do you approach that?
Yeah, so we got to teach the puppy to be calm. You know what I'm saying? So in that case, when we're teaching the puppy how to be calm, we put the toy away. We say all done. Puppy's going ham. Puppy's going ham. We're not finished with our training progression. So we can't just put our puppy into a downstay. We can't just put our puppy into a spot command like we would later in life. You know what I'm saying? So we can either take a short walk with the puppy to kind of calm down the training session, which is something I like to do too. I like to walk, you know, maybe 2 to 3 to 5 minutes before hardcore play, and walk again 3 to 5 minutes after play, because think of that as like a warm up for the strenuous activity, then a warm down from the strenuous activity. You know what I'm saying? So maybe take a short walk, kind of get the puppy back into a chill mood. If your puppy's you know, not breathing too hard, you can start rewarding them for calm behavior. Good. Food reward for calm behavior. Good. Food reward for some eye contact. Bring your puppy back in the house, and then put them back in their X pen, or put them back in their kennel to rest. You know what I'm saying? If you're using an X pen and you're going to be home, put them in the X pen. They got some like chew things in there they can hang out with. They can relax, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would do ideally.
All right. How do I stop biting? Now, is this biting? This could be actual biting, or are we talking about, you know, nipping at your hand?
Well, they're saying, how do I stop biting? So are these people biting their puppy? Or is their puppy biting
I mean, if you're biting your puppy, what are you doing?
So, you know, there's different forms of biting like you talked about. There could be like, you know, your puppy's trying to bite your hands, which is common. You know, I can't tell you how many times I go to someone's house, they got scratches, scabs all over their hands, all over their arms. You know what I'm saying? So puppy biting on the hands, puppy biting on the arms, puppy biting on the ankles, all that kind of stuff. We can't allow that to happen. So what we want to do, again, we keep a leash on our puppy. If they try to do that, we just simply move them away from us. We can put them in their X pen if they can't self-control their biting. We can redirect them onto something that's good for them to chew on, like a go nut toy or a Kong toy or a bully stick or a cow ear. The cow ears are really good for puppies because they're a little bit softer than bully sticks. The puppies can get good satisfaction from chewing on those. So what I would do if my puppy's trying to bite me, move them away from me with a leash, give them like a cow ear that they can chew on. If the puppy's adamant about biting me, I'd probably just put them in their X pen with a cow ear, with a go nut, something like that. Leave them be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Ideally, that's what I would recommend.
Okay. How do I teach my dog no? The word no.
Yeah.
Or you could use it as a command.
Yeah.
No.
We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier in one of the other questions, but we're going to follow a progression like we do with everything. So first of all, let's take an example. Let's see. Let's say we're teaching our puppy how to sit at a door, right? So when I'm teaching them how to sit at a door, we're going to use some food rewards, lure them into the sit before we go out the door, you know what I'm saying? And I might do some classical conditioning where I say sit as I walk up to the door, lure them into the sit with the piece of food. Once they do that, I say good, give them the food. I open the door, then I say out, then we walk out together, right? So let's say I've been working on that, and my puppy does understand how to sit, so I say sit. I don't need the food lure anymore. I just say sit, the puppy's sitting. Good to go, right? So now let's say the puppy is not sitting when I say to sit, right, at the door in this scenario. So I walk up to the door, I ask the puppy to sit, puppy is not sitting, I say no, and I put whatever food reward I'm using. Remember, I'm not luring the puppy into a sit, I'm rewarding them still for sitting.
Yeah.
You tracking with what I'm saying? Think it's making sense? Let me know if I'm not making sense. So we got the puppy at the door, I say sit, puppy knows to sit, puppy is not sitting, so I say no, I put the food reward behind my back. The puppy wants the food, so it sits down. So I say good, give it the food, open the door, puppy out, right? And we do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now I'm doing that repetitiously, and I've done it repetitiously for several days, so my puppy does understand that when I say no, it's not getting its food reward until it sits in this situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Technically, we're using the negative punishment quadrant of operant conditioning. You can listen to our How Does My Dog Learn podcast to learn more about that, okay, operant conditioning. Then, right, let's say we've done that. Now we need to continue progressing. The next step is to implement negative reinforcement quadrant of operant conditioning. So what do? Walk up to the door. If the puppy refuses to sit, we say no. We gently pull up on the leash just to make the leash tension a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The puppy sits down. We immediately release the tension. As soon as the puppy sits down, we say good. We give him a food reward. Okay?
Yeah.
So again, walk up to the door. We ask the puppy to sit. Puppy refuses to sit. I say no. Gentle pressure upward on the leash. Puppy sits down. When I do that, I immediately release the pressure. I say good. I give a food reward. Open the door, puppy out.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the next step. Now, the final step is to implement standard correction, full accountability. Walk up to the door. I say sit. Puppy's not sitting. So I say no. Pop on the leash. Right? Puppy sits. I say good. Now I walk out the door.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then you could progress into a remote collar if you wanted to.
Yeah.
If you want to progress into remote collar work, because we keep talking about it, you need to do remote collar conditioning. So go back, listen to our podcast on remote collar conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So does that answer that question?
Yeah, and I guess you could see these examples of your puppy either not wanting to sit. You do the hide the food behind your back. You could see this as a good thing to kind of introduce your puppy to. It's not getting what it wants immediately. Right. It has to learn to be patient with you and listen to what you do over time.
Yeah.
So you could see it as a positive thing too.
Going back to the question, what is the best time of day to train my dog? We keep going back to that. What is the best time of day to train my puppy? Again, I think you can see through talking through these scenarios, it's easy to incorporate training in whatever you're doing. Walking out of a door, you've got to do that multiple times a day to go potty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Walking in a door, you're doing that coming back inside. So it's super easy to incorporate this stuff in your daily life.
Yeah.
And if you do that now when your puppy's young, I'm telling you, it pays off when your puppy's older.
They won't even question it as they're older.
Right.
It's just something they're used to doing.
They're just used to doing it.
Yeah.
They don't know anything else.
That's how they go out the door.
It's how they do things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it makes perfect sense. At least to me, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But what's hard is actually putting in the repetitions every day. That's what's hard. Especially like if you woke up late, you're in a rush. You're going to kind of rush through this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Which,
that's why you need some discipline.
Happens
Wake
a
up
lot.
on time every day. Make sure you build your training sessions into your day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That goes back to the structure, setting yourself up for success.
Absolutely.
All right, so moving on. Why does my puppy lick so much? Got a liquor on her hands.
What do you think scenarios that your puppy might lick in?
I mean, it's a puppy. They're going to be doing puppy things. Licking might be one of those things, but if it's excessive licking,
like, what do you think? Like
licking someone's hand, maybe someone say, maybe you got a friend come over, they want to meet your puppy. You know, you guys are hanging out. Your puppy, they're holding your puppy, or their puppy's hanging out in front of them. You know, they're petting. The puppy's just lick. All
right, so let's say that scenario. You have a friend come over, they're petting your puppy. Puppy's licking them nonstop. Could be your puppy literally doesn't know how to interact with this person, right? So they're displacing. It's called displacement behavior. So the puppy's licking to displace the puppy's unsureness of what to do with this person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what you do to resolve that, you basically teach your puppy how to interact with people. And the way that I do that is with food rewards.
Yeah.
So again,
goes back to socialization.
Yeah, everything. So if I have my friend come, let's say, you come over, I've got a new puppy. I'll have you take some food before you come in the house or before I show you the puppy. And I'll have you just feed the puppy out of your hand food, just like it's used to doing with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then teach the puppy that, hey, petting equals food, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What are some other scenarios that you can
probably
think
ever
of?
the ones that I've heard of or seen with my own puppy. I'm trying to think. It's been a while, but maybe like if they're in their kennel, just licking the kennel tray, or maybe they're licking themselves excessively, licking their paws, or if they're on the couch with you, hanging out, you're trying to watch a show, you want to spend some time with your puppy, you got them in your lap or whatever, hanging out, they're licking the couch.
Let's pause right there. So all these scenarios you're talking about, with the exception of licking their paws, is usually just they have energy, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if they're excessively licking in their kennel, if they're excessively licking the couch, if they're excessively licking their body, in general, they have too much energy. They don't know what to do. So I would just give them something to chew on.
Yeah.
Bully stick, cow ear, something like
that.
Put it in go nut, put it in their kennel. They can chew on that instead of lick. Because if they're licking when they're a puppy, they're going to be licking when they're older. And if that annoys you, like some people, that'll be a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, licking the paws, that is a special situation. It could be allergy related. So based on what you're feeding your puppy's diet, they may be allergic to something. And licking the paws could be an indicator that there's some kind of allergy, So it could also mean excessive energy. So that's why we did that podcast with Blair from All Is Well in Somerville. Go back, listen to that podcast so that you can kind of get a feeling on dog nutrition, canine nutrition. And also, if you're not sure, go talk to a nutrition specialist for your dog, like the people over at All Is Well in Somerville, so they can guide you on making sure your puppy's nutrition is set up right, your puppy's diet is set up right. Because let's say you're feeding your puppy, a chicken-based diet, because that's what you fed your other dogs, you know what I'm saying? Your puppy may be allergic to chicken. And it may be licking its paw because of that allergy for whatever reason. So you need to go to a nutritionist. They might do an elimination diet, help you understand what your puppy's allergic to. You can also do testing for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you'll probably notice they'll probably start forming a rash or something on their belly,
possibly
certain areas of their body. So just pay attention to that as well.
So it could also be excessive energy again, which means you just give them a bully stick or cow ear to chew on instead of lick, or implement more exercise in your daily routine. But that's why with the paw licking, you got to talk to the canine nutritionists, like over at All Is Well. You got to do the behavior thing too, because it's one of those two things. It could be a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If your puppy is excessively licking the carpet, excessively licking the couch, excessively licking its body, and excessively licking its feet, it's probably the excessive energy.
Yeah.
But if your puppy is just like nonstop licking its feet but doesn't really lick other things, it's probably the allergy thing, you know. But I would talk to both those people, dog behaviorist and dog nutritionist, to kind of understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Just pay attention to the small things,
right,
even when your puppy's resting.
If your puppy is excessively licking your hand, for example, you may just have something that tastes good on your hand. You know,
I had a PB&J for lunch.
PB&J, a couple nachos. You know, any other situations you can think of where puppies are licking?
I mean, do you have anything? I don't have anything.
I was trying to think.
Yeah, no.
Most people that talk to me, their puppies just licking their body, or I've seen puppies lick hot spots on themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
That's usually excessive energy or anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I mean, if they're licking their paws, like you were just saying, you know, man, you're not noticing anything. No rashes, no nothing like that. You know, their food diet seems fine. I mean, it still could be insecure. It could be something else.
It could be excessive energy. It could be anxiety. It could be the nutrition. You know, it just depends.
You would just have to observe your puppy over time.
But the thing is, like, your puppy's a puppy. Like most puppies, like when I think of a puppy, I think of a puppy that was just born. They're going home about 8 weeks old. So that's the age range I'm thinking, 8 weeks old to about 6 months old. Once a puppy's over 6 months, me personally, I don't consider them a puppy anymore. You know, they're becoming an adult. You know what I'm saying? So all these questions I'm saying that a puppy's between 8 weeks and 6 months old, if your puppy is closer to 8 weeks old and it's excessively licking, you know, is probably not in most cases anxiety.
Yeah. Because it hasn't formed those traits.
It hasn't been able to form it yet. I mean, it is possible.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying it's not possible. It is possible, but probably not. It's probably excessive energy.
Yeah.
If your puppy's like, let's say, you know, like 4 to 6 months, it could be anxiety, legit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so pay attention.
Yeah, so that's why everything we're talking about, it's so important. Set up the foundation properly. When you get that puppy home, we already talked about it. Have a plan. Have a plan in place before the puppy comes home, so you can set up your puppy for success in the long term to alleviate anxiety, alleviate insecurity, alleviate dominance, aggression, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, so moving on. How long does a puppy biting last? I would assume this also means mouthing.
Yeah, so we kind of talked about biting already.
Yeah.
How long does puppy biting last? It's going to last as long as you allow it to last. Your puppy's only going to do what you allow it to do.
Yeah.
So your puppy biting, if your puppy's biting you, it doesn't know anything else.
Yeah.
That's the habit, that's the behavior that it has formed. So how long does it last? It lasts until I change my habits, I change my behavior, I change my structure to not allow the biting, and I implement what we talked about earlier, redirecting, holding the puppy accountable when it's properly taught, that kind of stuff, you know, so on and so forth, providing exercise, all that kind of stuff. That's when it'll stop. So the puppy biting will stop when you don't allow it anymore.
Yeah. All right. So why does my puppy eat grass?
I mean,
a lot of dogs eat grass, even older.
Yeah, there's a variety of reasons. There's a myth that your dog has an upset stomach if it's eating grass. That's not necessarily true. You know, dogs, sometimes they just like eating grass.
Yeah, yeah.
You ever seen those dogs just grazing grass before?
Both my dogs. Yeah, they like eating grass.
Now, sometimes dogs will eat grass because they have excessive energy. It's similar to licking. They don't know what else to do. They'll just start eating the grass. You know, some dogs just like eating grass. And that's cool. Like my dogs, I'll be walking in the woods with them. They'll find a nice patch of grass. They'll just start eating it.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Some good old patch of grass right here.
Sometimes, I mean, usually it's those two things. The dog likes eating that grass, or it's some kind of, you know, anxious activity, displacement activity to where the puppy doesn't know what else to do. So it just starts eating grass. Or it started off like that. The puppy didn't know what to do. So it just started eating grass. And it happened for so many times repetitiously where that just became a behavior habit. Yeah. You know, so if that bothers you, you can stop it. Yeah. You just do a training progression to not allow your puppy to do it. Yeah. Right. Get to accountability, hold them accountable if they're doing that. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I don't really care if my puppies eat grass. Yeah. And I can tell them to stop at any time. Because the training progression, once you get to the point of like accountability, distraction work, you know what I'm saying? Off leash work. Let's say your puppy's off leash walking with you in the woods, they're eating the grass and you want them to stop. You just say, dog come. If they don't come, no, right? Then
Yeah.
they come to you, good to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I dealt with this with Aura, my puppy girl, and as she progressed into, and she's about 2 now. She did this excessively to where I deemed it as a displacement act, so at the point of where she would begin, like if I was in the backyard hanging out with her, just letting her have some roam time as a puppy, just getting used to enjoying her time in the backyard, she would just start eating the grass after a while.
That was definitely
displacement, or she doesn't know what to do, excessive energy, all that stuff. But then it later translated into she would start eating mulch, and then she would start eating rocks, and then acorn, and then anytime that we go out, leaves. I mean, anything that she could pick up off the ground,
right?
So then I had to really start actually holding her accountable for when she started munching on anything, because anytime we would go out in public, I put her in a downstay. We'll say we're at a restaurant. There's like leaves and pine straw and like paper straws left around, or like, the little wrappings left around. There's trash on the, like she'll try and eat that stuff. Obviously that's not good for her. Like if there's like cigarette butts on the ground, she might try and get those, because she sees it on the ground. She wants to eat it because she's displacing, so in that case, I just have to hold her accountable. So I guess pay attention to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. That's good that you brought that up. Like, if it is a displacement activity, like with Aura, it was a displacement activity. Now, anytime she doesn't know what to do, she's just going to go default to grab something off the ground. Yeah. And like rocks, for example, like she was doing for a while there, that might clog up her stomach, and then you have to have surgery. So it could end up costing you $5,000 to get her stomach fixed because she ate rocks, because she was displacing when she was a puppy eating grass, and you allowed that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you got to be careful. You got to know. That's why I said earlier, with the question, what was it? Can I train my puppy myself? Yes, you can train your puppy yourself, but you may need a coach to help you through some of these things. How do you know if your puppy's eating grass because it likes grass? How do you know if your puppy's eating grass because it's a displacement activity? You don't know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard to see. And you need someone experienced with puppies to be able to tell you, based on this, I believe it's displacement activity. Based on this, I think it's just eating grass. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, you can hit us up if you're in Colorado and you got a question. We'll do a video chat with you. You know what I'm saying? To help you figure that out. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, good point.
All right. How do I train my puppy to sit and stay? This probably falls along the lines of what we've already discussed.
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit, but specifically sit and stay. Go back to our podcast where we talked about training progression. I think we went in detail on how to go from point A to point B, how to go from start to finish on a bunch of stuff with your puppy. Also go back to the podcast, How Does My Dog Learn, to get more of a deep dive on this. But how can I train my puppy to sit and stay? You got to follow a training progression. Number one, you're going to teach the sit first, all right? You're going to do that by, number one, starting off with engagement, so teaching your puppy to look at you. Number two, once you have that accomplished, you're going to teach your puppy to sit with a food lure. So you're going to take a piece of food in your hand, maneuver your hand so the puppy is encouraged to sit down. Once the puppy sits, you're going to say good, give him food. You're going to do that repetitiously.
Okay? A lot of reps.
A lot of repetitions. Then you're going to incorporate the negative reinforcement accountability. Then you're going to incorporate the full correction accountability, right? So then the sit is done. Okay. Then we're going to move to the stay. The stay is, you have 3 aspects you have to focus on for the stay. Number one, duration, which is the amount of time that you're in a stay position. Okay. Number 2, distraction. Number 2 is distance. So you got number 1, duration. Number 2, distance. That's the distance from the puppy to you, which you're going to change. Right. Then number 3 is distraction. And my friend Krista calls this the triple D. Triple D. Duration, distance, distraction. Shout out to Krista. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, let's say you got a puppy, you put it in a sit somewhere. Okay. Once your puppy's in a sit, you do not change where you are at in relation to the puppy. Okay. So let's say you're 2 feet away from your puppy. You ask the puppy to sit. The puppy sits. Good. Hand the puppy a food reward, you know what I'm saying? And you stay right where you're at. After 10 seconds go by, good, reward. 10 more seconds, good, reward. So you see where I'm going? You got a specific interval of time. As your puppy is mastering the sit position, you increase the amount of time, but you stay right where you're at. So let's say it's another training session, right? A different day. You're asking your puppy to sit. You make sure you're that same distance away from them. Wherever you ask them to sit, you stay there. Then you keep increasing your interval of time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So then once you master that, where your puppy can stay there, let's just say 5 minutes without moving and hardly any food rewards for 5 minutes because you've increased your interval of time, now you're going to start working on distance. And the first thing you do, you take 1 step away from your puppy, say good, 1 step back to your puppy, give him a piece of food. Okay? This is ensuring that your puppy is maintaining that sit.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, if you step away and your puppy gets up,
Yeah.
you just grab the leash, you move them back, you just guide them with the leash back to that sit position, you ask them to sit again, and then you restart.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you go back to where you're at, 1 step away, 1 step back, good, reward. 1 step away, 1 step back, good, reward.
Yeah.
2 steps away, 2 steps back, good, reward, right? So you continue that. You increase your distance. We do at least 15 feet before we say we check that in the block, right? All right. So once we're good with that, then we go into distraction. The easiest way to start distraction is what we call the wagon wheel. Imagine your puppy is the center of the wagon wheel, and you're going to walk all the way around your puppy. That's the easiest way to build distraction with your puppy. Okay. So you ask him to sit in the middle of you ask him to sit somewhere. You take a couple steps out, maybe 6 feet away from your puppy, and you start walking around your puppy. If your puppy maintains that sit stay, you say good randomly, and then you step into the puppy, give him a piece of food, then you step back out. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And then you just continue working that circle around your puppy, that wagon wheel. All
And
right?
normally the more difficult areas for your puppy to maintain, and at least in my experience, and I've seen from other dogs that we train here on the property, once you start getting behind the puppy or out of their immediate line of sight, they might get a little uneasy, or you know, for whatever reason, they might try and get up more when you're behind the puppy.
That's usually going to happen with an insecure puppy or an insecure dog. But if you're starting this off and your puppy's 8-9 weeks old, good to go, boys. No issues. You know. But so you do the duration first, then the distance, then the distraction. Once you master this at your house where it's easy, you take this out and you implement it in random places like a park, hardware store, stuff like that. Now, with that being said, once you've gotten to that point where you've got duration, distance, distraction down at your house, now if your puppy gets up from their sit stay, you're going to say no, pop on the leash, take him back. Right? So you implement the accountability. Okay. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Think the listener understands that one?
If you guys have any questions, obviously just hit us up on Instagram or drop a comment wherever you're watching this, or if you're listening, then you can hit us up on IG, Facebook, if you need to understand the concept more, and then maybe we can do a YouTube video on this for a visual. So kind of bleeding into that, so how do I train my puppy to walk on a leash properly?
We touched on that a little bit. We do have a YouTube video on this, but to step through it really quickly, training progression wise. All right, you're going to start off, you got your puppy, you got it on a leash, right? And first off, you're going to start off with engagement. So you want to make sure that your puppy likes looking at you. You're rewarding them for looking at you. They look at you, you say good, you apply a reward, right? Then you're going to start walking. And ideally, when you implement this, you're walking in a straight line, or you're walking from like point A to point B. So like your front door to your potty area, your back door to your potty area. You know what I'm saying? If your puppy tries to pull on that leash, if that leash gets tight for whatever reason because your puppy's walking ahead of you, all you do, you say no, right? You can either stand there and wait for your puppy to, be like, what the heck? Why did we stop? Turn around, look at you. Good. Encourage them back to you, reward them for looking at you. Or you turn around, you walk the opposite direction to encourage your puppy to move with you. If you turn around, start walking, and your puppy starts walking with you, say good, give them a food reward when they're in vicinity of you. Okay? That's the basics. Do that repetitiously, right? And then once you feel like your puppy understands that, Then you can implement accountability by saying no, pop on the leash if your puppy walks too far ahead of you and decides to pull on the leash a little bit.
Yeah, definitely use those food rewards because your puppy's probably going to get distracted by all the sights and sounds out there. And once you get the walking on the leash down and you've been working on your sit and stay, when you're walking your puppy through your neighborhood or whatever, you can just start doing sit stays or down stays, whatever it is, anywhere in your neighborhood at random locations, because that's still like a new environment to the puppy.
Yeah. And with that being said, we're talking a lot about food rewards. Okay, you do need to go back and watch our podcast on the training progression, because there's a process to using the food rewards, right? You're not going to be using a lot of food rewards the entire dog's life. Yeah. You use them to teach what you need to teach, right? And then you quickly shift over to random food rewards as quickly as possible. This is another issue with people, training dogs at home on their own. They think that they need to provide their puppy a food reward every time the puppy sits, for example.
Yeah.
We want to get away from that. We're doing that at first. It's called a continuous reinforcement schedule. Every time the puppy sits, every time the puppy looks at us, we say good, we give a reward. That's a continuous reinforcement schedule.
Yeah.
But as soon as that puppy understands what we're trying to communicate to them, we got to get off of that, go to a random reward schedule where they're randomly getting rewarded. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of people get stuck on always giving food rewards, always doing this, always doing no, we got to progress.
Yeah.
We have to push forward. That's the hardest part about dog training, is knowing when to progress. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
my puppy is biting and seems aggressive. How do I know if it is aggressive, and what should I do to stop the biting?
all right. So, your puppy's biting.
I guess this is a different type of biting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit more.
So let's assume that it's not the biting we already talked about earlier.
Yeah, the mouthing.
We talked about the mouthing, that kind of stuff. Let's say your puppy is seeming aggressive. You don't know if it is or not. In general, this is going to be like a dominant issue, where your puppy is being dominant. So the way you would know if this is dominance is if you're trying to do something with your puppy and your puppy is like literally fighting you on it. You know what I'm saying? To where you try to do something, they just latch onto you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or they're, vocalizing in a not good way. You should know the difference between playful vocalization and non-playful vocalization.
Yeah.
So let's say you're trying to do things with your puppy and your puppy is like attacking you for doing them or coming at you for doing them, vocalizing in a not normal way, probably an indicator of dominance. And if my puppy's dominant, we need to make sure that we are tightening down on our structure to not allow them to be dominant. You know what I'm saying? So also, if I'm asking my puppy to do something, they're fighting me on it, grab that leash, no pop. This is a situation where if your puppy's trying to dominate you, trying to bite you, you're going to immediately apply a correction, because that puppy's got to understand that's not tolerated. That's not allowed. If you allow it, it's going to get worse. And when your puppy gets big into a full-grown dog, it's going to be really bad. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, what do you do to stop the biting if they're being dominant or aggressive? No, pop on the leash immediately and change your structure up. One thing I recommend is hand feeding all of your meals. So if you're feeding your puppy kibble, for example, when it's mealtime, you're doing a training session with your puppy and all their food is coming out of your hand. You know what I'm saying? That will help clear up the line of who's dominant in the relationship and who's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also going off of that, I guess when it goes back to the question of how do I teach my puppy its name, and you wanted to use your mealtime to do that, you could have the food in your hand or have the food bowl in your hand. You're holding the bowl. Puppy is in its kennel or wherever it normally eats. Yeah. The puppy's trying to get to the bowl. You're not letting it. You call the puppy's name. When it looks at you, good, mark, reward, yes, however, and then allow it to eat some food, and then rinse and repeat. Like keep doing that per meal. It'll definitely catch on.
We do recommend hand feeding your meals at first. Yeah. Doesn't matter if your puppy's dominant or not. Yeah.
Yeah. What age do I leash train my puppy? This goes back to one of the other questions, but I would start immediately. Yeah, just 8 weeks old, your puppy comes home, start working on them, knowing to stay close to you when you're walking. Now, I do recommend using harnesses for puppies at the beginning to avoid any opposition reflex developing on the neck.
So
opposition reflex being
leash pulling, essentially. And so use a harness so they can pull into that harness a little bit, which is okay. But even with that, you're still rewarding your dog for looking at you, staying close to you instead of being on a tight leash. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So start off 8 weeks old as soon as they come home.
Yeah, and you might get a puppy. Like in my situation, I got my puppy. I adopted her from, in a very small organization, or these people who were fostering dogs, and she had never been on a leash. And so when I put that leash on her, it was like a slip lead. She resisted big time, and she didn't know what to do. The leash was freaking her out. Right. So you might run into this if you're adopting a puppy, or
if you're not. Even
if
it's a breeder.
Whatever. The breeder should be putting the puppy
maybe
through some. I don't know. Yeah,
maybe. You don't know.
Yeah, but you might deal with that, and so how would you deal with that?
Yeah. So if your puppy is has a bad association or doesn't know about the leash, you got to teach them about the leash. You know what I'm saying? So food rewards, you put a leash on your puppy, have some food in your hand, and let your puppy follow your hand with the food as you walk outside. So imagine you're hunched over, you got your hand down at your puppy's shoulder level, and your puppy's following the food in your hand, and you're slowly letting pieces of food out of your hand for them to get as you're walking with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to change the association of the leash. It's going to take time. It's going to take repetition.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do basically to change that association. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So how far can my puppy walk? Or how far can I walk my puppy? I guess is a better way to rephrase it.
Yeah, it's going to depend on your breed. So I would definitely touch base with your breeder on that. If you're adopting the dog or from a rescue, you know what I'm saying? Take that into account. Don't walk your 8-week-old puppy for 2 miles. Probably too far for him. So I would say a reasonable distance. You know what I'm saying? So some people want to run. 4-month-old dog. Be careful. Maybe half a mile. You know what I'm saying? The issue is the joints. You don't want to overwork the joints. You know what I'm saying? So I would number one, check with your breeder if you're getting it from a breeder. I would check with your vet, see what your vet says. Me, I'm a behaviorist. I'm a trainer. Reasonable distance. So for puppies 8 weeks old, around that age, I'm basically taking them out in the yard, doing some training with them. I'm not doing hardcore 1 mile walks, 30 minutes. I'm not really doing that. My walks might be 10 minutes easy walk, 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. If they're a little bit older, 4 to 6 months, you can definitely walk them, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, that kind of stuff. Just take it easy. If it looks like your puppy's getting worn out or having a hard time with it, then, stop. You know what I'm saying? So use common sense when it comes to that. But don't if you're a runner, don't start running your puppy for miles and miles and miles. If you like to do long walks, don't do these crazy long walks with your puppies for miles and miles and miles, right? Wait till they're a little bit older.
Yeah, and I guess these next two questions kind of coincide with that. But so am I over exercising my puppy?
I mean, it's possible.
You could do it.
You could over exercise your puppy. Again, you need to be super reasonable with your puppy. If your puppy looks like it's struggling, don't just drag it along with you for 3 miles. You know what I'm saying? Understand your puppy's legit a puppy. It's growing. It's like a child.
Yeah.
With that being said, don't carry it everywhere. It's okay to pick up your puppy every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they need to get used to
But they need to get used to walking and moving and doing
being
things.
On that leash.
Traversing. You know what I'm saying? So, again, 8 weeks old puppy coming home, walk should be very short, very reasonable, 5-10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? 4 months, 6 months, they can walk longer, 30 minutes, whatever. Don't overdo it. If you overdo it, you're gonna hurt the puppy's joints potentially.
They'll probably be limping or some sort of visible.
If they're limping, that's not good. Obviously, that means you
definitely overworked it.
That means you overdid it. Don't get to that point. Play it safe.
Yeah.
Check with your vet. Your vet's gonna know better specific to your puppy. If it's a French Bulldog versus a Great Dane, there's a difference.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they got to know.
And to follow up with that, so does my puppy need a rest day?
Your puppy, a dog is designed to move. If you I was just talking about this the other day. Take a dog and a cat, for example. Look at the way their bodies are. A dog is built to move. right? If you're outside with your dog, most dogs are going to be, moving around. Some dogs like to relax in the sun and that kind of stuff, but most dogs are going to be moving around, sniffing, smelling. Dogs are descendants of the wolf, who migrate, who hunt, who move long distances, right? Cats, for example, look at their body. They're meant to move with stealth. They're meant to move with poise.
Lightweight.
Look at the tiger, right? They're in the jungle. They're climbing trees. They're not migrating large distances to go hunt a moose and then drag it back to their den. You know what I'm saying? They're going to wait. They're going to ambush. Look at the lion. They're in the grass, crouching, stalking, and then they grab their prey, they eat it, and then they're done.
Yeah.
They go back to the den, they relax,
they sleep for
good to
however
go.
long, yeah.
Think about the cheetah. They can sprint for a short distance, and that's it. Then they're stalking, they're in the tree, that kind of stuff. So 2 different animals. So I just say that because your dog's body is designed and built to be moving, to be walking, to be doing things. Right? We just said, am I over-exercising my puppy? We said it's possible. You need to be reasonable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does my puppy need a rest day? Your dog needs to move. So have an active rest day.
Yeah.
If you're doing hard stuff with your dog, like let's say you hike a mountain, the next day you might not hike a mountain.
Yeah.
You might just, do some short walking in the yard, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think your puppy needs necessarily a rest day, a day where it does nothing. But it does need active rest, active recovery. It does need to recover from exercises and stuff you're doing with it, just like we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's still a puppy. So, even if you want to have a rest day, maybe for yourself, it's Sunday, Saturday, whatever, you've been overwhelmed by the work week, whatever it may be. Oh, I need a rest day.
Yeah.
The puppy will be, the puppy's going to have all that energy.
Yeah.
It still needs to exert that energy to some capacity,
Yeah.
and he or she is definitely going to get bored. So just use your best judgment.
Now, if you overdid it and your puppy's limping, you need to change what you're doing. You change what you're doing. If you're used to walking your puppy for 20 minutes and now it's limping, you just let it walk for maybe 5-10 minutes because it does still need to move. Your puppy does still need to move so blood can get moved through its body, so the nutrients from the food that it's eating can get pushed to the different areas of this body so it can recover, right, from that limping injury. But if you overexert it, it's never going to recover. You know what I'm saying? Just like our body.
Yeah.
So small movements, short walks, 5 minutes, 10 minutes instead of 20 or 30 minutes at if you're doing 20 or 30 minutes at a moderate pace, you need to do 5, maybe 10 minutes at a slow pace just to get the puppy moving, just to get the blood pumping.
And if you're trying to work on your training at the same time, doing that sit and stay.
Good time to work.
Be cognizant of that as well, though.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the puppy to be always on its leg.
Right.
So.
Right. If you always got
best judgment.
Exactly. Yeah. Good to go.
Should I let my puppy run free? Run free.
So most people, they ask this question, it's like in the yard.
Yeah, can I let my puppy have free time?
Puppy just let it out in the yard, let it do its thing.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that personally. I would recommend be out there with your puppy.
Yeah.
Before I just let my puppy run free, I want to make sure it knows how to come on command. You know what I'm saying? So that's my criteria. Before my puppy knows how to come on command, I got it on a leash. Now I might have a 15-foot leash.
Yeah, I was going to say very long leash.
Yeah, get away from me, run away and that kind of stuff. But I still have control. But once I got that come command done 100%, now I can let my puppy out in the yard. I like to be out there with it. I don't necessarily want it with me all the time. It needs to be able to do its own thing sometimes. That's healthy. That's a healthy relationship. You know what I'm saying? But also I want to be out there because if something happens, my dog has chased a bee before. Bee would sting it in the face.
Yeah.
So I need to stop the dog from chasing and eating the bee or a snake. Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So should I let my puppy run free? My criteria for that is that it needs to know how to come on command. Then I can start allowing it that freedom to roam.
Okay.
But I would also be out there with it if it's outside.
Yeah, for sure. How can I train my puppy to be off leash? So I guess it's the same.
Yeah, same thing. How can I train my puppy to be off leash? You need to follow a training progression. The most important thing about off leash work is that come command, right? So number 1, start off with engagement. Number 2, you're working on your come command. So let's say you got your puppy on a leash. They're walking around at the end of the leash. You say, Bruce, come. We're just using Bruce again. Bruce, come. Bruce turns and looks at you. Good boy, come. You might back up a little bit to encourage him to you. He starts trotting over to you. You say, good, give him some food. Then you say, okay. Then you do it again. Repetition. Once you've done that hundreds of times, and when you say come, Bruce is now coming over to you. If he doesn't come, you can say no, little tug on the leash. Now he'll come because you've implemented accountability.
Yeah.
Then with the off leash, I would definitely incorporate your next step in your training progression to be invisible leash work, aka remote collar, right? So I would do that step, remote collar conditioning. Once that's done, then your puppy can be off leash.
Yeah,
okay?
we don't recommend off leash without the remote collar. For most part.
So your puppy's probably going to be 4 months old until you at least get to that point. If you started when they're 8 weeks old.
And yeah, we're very diligent.
Yeah, they'll probably be. Yeah, you got to be diligent. They'll probably be 4 months old before you could have them off leash safely
at a minimum
and securely at a minimum.
Yeah.
If you were diligent, if you're doing everything to a T. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Will my puppy be able to sleep throughout the night?
I don't know, Ben. Will your puppy be able to sleep through the night?
No. I mean, definitely probably not when you first get the puppy. You know, especially if you're removing it from a litter, depending if you got it from a breeder or adopted from a rescue or whatever the case may be. Depends on the breeder, you know. Some breeders, you know, I know you have more experience with breeders than I do, but like they'll have their own progress to do, you know, but I think you're still going to get that puppy howling at nighttime, new environment. It's being, depending on what you're doing with the puppy in the kennel at nighttime. Let's say you're putting it in the kennel at nighttime. You know, he's probably still going to be making noise. Yeah. Or you might get the rare case of the puppy not making any noise. That's a rare case, but I mean, you lucked out there. Yeah. But, for me, you know, my puppy I rescued her. She was with the litter the entire time, up to the point of me getting her, and she was with her mom that whole time as well. So she was very loud, very, you know, a lot of yipping and yapping and barking for 3 or 4 days. Yeah. It took her to get over it. So, I mean, 3 or 4 days of almost minimal to no sleeping, as well as trying to keep up with the potty training. So I'm taking her out, you know, middle of the night, stuff like that. But also at the same time, from my experience, if the puppy's yipping and yapping, you don't want to reinforce the yipping and yapping by going over, you know, hey, you're yipping, come on out, you know, it's okay, you know. So then you're coddling it at that point, you know. So very fine line, but I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, when you first get a puppy home, it's probably going to be making some noise, you know, because your puppy has most likely, hopefully, unless you rescued it and it was by itself, it's been with a litter, it's been with mama, so it's used to being with all these people. Now you bring it to your house, you put it in a kennel at nighttime, it's by itself, so it's going to start probably whining a little bit. So you just ignore that. You know what I'm saying? Don't feed into it. Like you said, if you coddle it, if you feed into it, it will persist. If you ignore it, theoretically, technically, it should stop on its own. Sometimes it doesn't. So you got to take other action. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, also when your puppy just first comes home, let's assume it's 8 weeks old, guess what? Potty training. Your puppy cannot hold the potty for 8 hours at nighttime. Or some people I know that like to sleep 15 hours. So
whoa, 15.
So let's say you know, that puppy definitely can't hold it that long. So you got to take 1 or 2 times a night to get up, take your puppy out to go to the bathroom. Yeah. So hopefully as you go through that process, by the time you're sleeping through the full night where the puppy's holding it all night, it's used to your routine and it's just quiet throughout the night because that's what you've built up with it. You know what I'm saying? But if you are struggling after you've gone through the period of time where you're ignoring your puppy for the whining when you first get it, I would say you do that for a couple weeks if needed. You know what I'm saying? If it's still being noisy at nighttime, you need to implement some exercise right before bedtime to kind of wear your puppy out a little bit before you put it to bed. You know what I'm saying? But the main thing is, if the habit of whining at nighttime or staying up at night is allowed to persist, or if you feed into it, the main thing is if you feed into it by going to your puppy anytime it makes noise, you know what I'm saying, it's going to continue. So that behavior pattern is going to be there. So you got to change up what you're doing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I heard a story.
What?
I heard a puppy story similar to this one.
What?
Certain someone had a puppy situation. They got their dog. They got their puppy. Might be a Doberman, not sure.
Huh?
But
Lexi?
heard someone was yipping and yapping at nighttime. Laid on the floor next to the kennel. Oh, it's okay. Maybe sing him a song.
Is this Lexi?
Maybe this is you, buddy. Old Chad got old Bane. He's yipping and yapping.
This
and then,
is before I was a dog trainer.
Before he's a dog trainer, he's singing them bedtime stories.
Before I was a dog trainer.
What's the story?
Before I was a dog trainer, I got Bane. He was my dog, my first dog. Because, growing up, never had dogs.
Your baby boy.
My baby boy. 8 weeks old, got him home, had the kennel set up, right? Put him in the kennel. He starts crying like crazy. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I want this dog to be quiet.
Yeah.
So I lay down on the floor next to the kennel. I'm like singing lullabies to this dog, trying to get it to go to sleep.
Did it work?
No, it did not work. Before I was a dog trainer, and Bane is the reason why I'm a dog trainer, because I messed up so much stuff while he was a puppy.
Yeah.
It created a bunch of problems when he was older. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm trying to get this information out to you guys, so you learn from my mistakes.
Lullabies are not needed. Disclaimer, lullabies not needed.
Do not sing him a lullaby.
All right, bro. We're going to wrap up with one more question.
We got some scenarios before we get to that question.
Well, the last question before scenarios, but this is a very general one I feel like we've been covering this whole time, is how do I train my puppy? And this is going to go back to everything we've been talking about this whole podcast.
Yeah, so how do I train my puppy? Again, go back to our podcast that talks about training progressions. You want to follow that progression. That's what I would recommend. Your priority is potty training, right? And then you want to get into your obedience work, starting off with engagement, leash walking, and then sit, down, stay, come. Any specialized obedience after that you can develop as well. Get your socialization work in, get your distraction work in, and continue from there.
Yeah.
To me, training is never over. Mm-hmm. So even though Bane, we just talked about him being a puppy, he's turning 7 this year, we're still training. We're learning new things. I'm teaching him new things, right? Mm-hmm. Sarabi, she's like freaking 14 or something over there sleeping on the couch. 86
years old is what she is.
She's old. She's doing new things too.
Yeah.
So that we've talked about the mind of the elderly on another podcast, but that's important. Keeping your dog's mind active, their cognitive functions active. Training is never over for you or for your dog. You know what I'm saying? But in general, how do I train my puppy? Follow that training progression we laid out. That's our ideal training progression, my ideal training progression. There's other ways to do things. That's fine. That's just, if you're going to ask me, that's what I recommend. Start off with the potty training, start off with the engagement and the leash walking, and then go into the other stuff.
Yeah, bottom line, structure is
important.
Key.
It's key
to success.
Schedule and structure, boys.
All right, so let's get into some puppy scenarios.
We got a couple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scenarios. What we got?
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So first one, I got a puppy, 16 months old.
So pause right there. 16 months.
You can just say one. just starting right there.
It's
you can
over
just say
a year old.
Yeah, you can just say 1 year old.
So it's over a year old. It's like close to a year and a half, and so it's not a puppy. Let's just say it's not a puppy.
Okay.
But let's continue with this.
I have this younger dog then.
Let's just go with the scenario, boys. Not a puppy though.
Struggling with jumping on counters, jumping to grab food off plates at the table, nips outside, unless I use the shot collar. Nips outside. What does that mean?
I'm assuming nips at their hands or something.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. We do not give him free run of the house.
Okay, so wait a second. We do not give him free run of the house, but he jumps on countertops and he grabs food off of plates.
He's nipping you outside.
Well,
so it sounds
outside.
Like he's got free run of the house.
Sounds like he's got free run of the house. But anyway, I was going to say it looks like there's some structure implemented with the no free roaming the house, but I mean, it just seems contradictory. The jumping on the counters, the jumping to grab food off plates at the table. That's just like, it's got to be free running in the house.
I mean, if he's having the option to even get close to your plate to get that food off, I mean, so he has free time to get the food off the plate, to get the jump on the counters and stuff.
And they're saying they're using the shock collar. So number one, another piece is, number one was it's not a puppy, but another piece is stop using the shock collar. Don't recommend using that unless you go through the proper training progression, proper remote collar conditioning, which if you're just putting it on using it, you haven't done that, so stop using it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, what you're going to do here, you need to implement structure. Follow training progression. You need to limit what this dog's doing. So if it's not with you on a leash, or if it doesn't know how to downstay or spot or place, put it in the kennel, leave it in the kennel until you're ready to train it. You know what I'm saying? So if you're eating dinner, it's in the kennel. Right? If you're not actively working with it, it's in the kennel. Unless it knows how to downstay. If it knows how to downstay, you can put it in the downstay, leave it there. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming it doesn't know how to downstay.
Spot, whatever,
So follow training progression that we listed out in one of our podcasts. And then you're going to implement that training progression until you get up to the distraction work phase, which means accountability and remote collar conditioning. And at that point, because you've done all the preliminary work through the training progression, if the dog tries to jump on the counter, you say no, implement a correction, implement accountability. If your dog tries to jump up to grab food off the plate, no, accountability, right? If your dog nips at you for whatever reason, no, accountability, right? So at that point, the dog has been through the whole progression. It knows what to do. Now you can hold it accountable. If you hold it accountable, those undesirable behaviors won't be allowed to happen anymore. But with that being said, if you have an 8-week-old puppy, because this is a puppy Q&A, this dog's definitely not a puppy. If you have an 8-week-old puppy that you just got home, look at this scenario. This could be you if you allow your dog to jump up. If you allow your puppy to jump on you, it could jump up on the counter. If you allow your puppy to keep nipping at you and biting your hands like we talked about, it could result in biting you outside. If you allow your puppy to eat people food out of your hands or eat off your table, you take food off the table, you hand it right to your puppy table scraps, your puppy could jump up to grab food and plates off the table, right? So just imagine this stuff not happening if you implement the proper structure when your puppy's 8 weeks old right out the gate.
It goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of the episode, where it pays off in the long run.
Right.
Implementing that structure.
Right, exactly.
All right, moving on. My puppy is 4 months old. I'm having issues with crate training or being separated from my puppy.
Okay, so I assume
the puppy being separated from them.
Right, so I assume the puppy's making noise when they're separated.
Yeah, probably.
All right.
I mean, it might even be at the point, depends on how bad it is. Could be trying to destroy the kennel tray and stuff in there too, So.
Yeah, so some major separation anxiety, some destructiveness.
Or it sounds like a separation anxiety could be being formed.
Yeah, well, it's definitely forming. If it's having an issue. If they say having issues being separated, it's definitely an issue.
Yeah.
Crate training, they say they're having issues with crate training. That might be potty related. It might be destructive related. So anyway, let's just talk about the crate training, potty related, implement schedule and structure to resolve the potty issue if that's what it is, like we already talked about. Okay, if it's destructiveness, the destructiveness and the crate training and being separated are going to go hand in hand with what I want to say next. We have to teach the puppy that it's okay to be separated from us in a healthy way. And we did talk about this in a podcast about separation anxiety, but I'm going to go through it real quick. This might be a special case scenario too. They're trying to implement what we talked about and the puppy's fighting them. Yeah. So with that being said, puppy's 4 months old. That means we can do some pretty good exercise. So I would exercise the puppy until they're ready to relax, ready to lay down and be tired, right? So I would take them on a walk. When they're ready to relax, they're physically tired, mentally tired, take them inside your house, put them in their kennel, let them go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? That way they learn that their kennel is a resting place. Now, they may fight it at first a little bit. Yeah. They may give a little bit of vocalization, whatever. Yeah. But because they're tired from the exercise, they should relax, right? Do that repetitiously. Teach them that the kennel is a resting place. Make sure you're feeding them in the kennel so the kennel is also a feeding place. Oh, yeah. This should resolve the issue, right? But do that repetitiously. And then once you feel like you've done enough repetitions, try to put your puppy in the kennel fresh, right? And I would also have your kennel in a separate room. This will help with the being separated piece. But put your puppy in there full of energy. If they're quiet and calm in there, that means you've accomplished the mission. If they're not, you got more repetitions to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So keep the kennel a resting place. Make it a resting place. Keep the association with the kennel good by providing food, water, food rewards in the kennel, right? Also give them something to do while they're in there, like a go nut, bully stick, cow ear, that kind of stuff, and go from there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah. If you didn't do that when the puppy was 8 weeks old, imagine if you did.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had an 8-week-old puppy and you had them in the kennel resting throughout the day. You had the kennel in a separate room away from you a few times a day to build that healthy separation into the behavior habits. Imagine if you did that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah.
So that's why everything
you probably would deal with it initial 2 weeks, maybe.
Right, and then it's over.
Yeah,
and the puppy's tiny at that point. 4 months old, it could be a big puppy. Might be causing some serious damage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? 8-week-old puppy, it's tiny. You can mend its mind. You can change its behaviors really quickly. So we keep going back to that. Everything we're talking about, implement immediately when that puppy comes home. It makes a big difference. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right, next scenario.
They say a 1-year-old puppy.
Not a puppy.
So now we're getting it. Yeah. Younger dog, very young dog. Yeah. Unable to be around company because he obsesses over them. Jumps, will not leave them alone. I'm considering rehoming him.
Well, hate to say this, but if you're considering to rehome your puppy, not a good mindset to have.
Yeah. Don't give up on him so fast, I would say.
I mean, it's your dog. It's your puppy.
Yeah.
Like my puppy, legit, my dog, when he was this age, legit was attacking me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's my dog. Not giving up on him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I got to make sure, and it's because of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I raised him wrong as a puppy.
Yeah.
You know? Going back to this scenario, unable to be around company, he obsesses. He jumps. He will not leave them alone. This dog lacks self-control.
Mm-hmm.
This dog needs to learn self-control. How do we do that? We implement structure and schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to implement structure, got to teach a dog how to interact with people. We already talked about this earlier in another question. Teach your puppy how to interact with people. Me, preferably, I'm doing that with food rewards at first, and I like teaching my dogs to sit or down before they get interacted with by people. You know what I'm saying? No jumping. If you let your puppy jump when they're 8 weeks, 10 weeks old, they're going to be jumping when they're a year old.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier to do this stuff when your puppy's 8, 10 weeks old versus a year old.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So implement structure, implement a training progression to get from start to finish. Go back to our podcast on training progression to review that. You know what I'm saying? All the details in that. You know, I would not rehome your puppy. Your puppy is going to do what you allow it to do. Up to this point, we have allowed the puppy to obsess over people, jump on people, and not leave them alone. Now it's time to change. We can implement some structure, make that change. Good to go.
Yeah, I guess. And if you have company over and you're working on that training progression, if you're deciding to do it yourself, I mean, company's coming over. Put your dog in his kennel.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
If he starts going ham in the kennel, that's a separate issue you're going to have to address. You know,
Mm-hmm.
If you have company over, they're coming, smoke them,
Mm-hmm.
Exercise them.
Mm-hmm.
You got a 1-year-old dog, you can do a good
amount of exercise.
good wild walk,
Yeah.
or run
Mm-hmm.
or put them on the bike, fetch, whatever.
Yeah.
Smoke them, put them in the kennel before the company even gets there. And then when they show up, he might get amped up, but then should calm down over time, depending on how their behaviors are in the kennel.
Exactly.
So,
but with that being said, you do still need to teach your dog how to interact with people. It's got to learn self-control.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, next scenario.
All right, moving on. 6-month-old puppy knows a handful of commands: sit, stay, down, skittish around other dogs, and has trouble walking alongside us on a leash when other people and other dogs are around. He is also play biting too much. It's not aggressive, but it's becoming more and more of a problem. So I got multiple situations.
Let's
here.
break this down. First of all, they're saying the puppy knows how to sit, stay, and down. Okay? So let's assume the puppy actually knows that. Okay?
Yeah, structure has been.
Now, my criteria for stay, if I say stay, that dog's staying.
Yeah.
15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 120 minutes. You see what I'm saying? Other people, their criteria for stay, they say sit, they say stay. The dog stays for 3 seconds. The dog's up. They think it's good.
Yeah.
To me, that's not good. That's not a stay.
Yeah.
So I don't know the level of the stay that these people are talking about. But for the sake of the discussion, let's assume that it's my criteria stay. I say stay, the dog's staying. End of story. You know what I'm saying? All right. Then it says skittish around other dogs, has trouble walking alongside us on a leash when other people and dogs are around. Sounds like with the word skittish, and this is a 6-month-old puppy. Skittish, insecurity. There's some nervousness or insecurity. The dog doesn't know what to do around these things, right? The other people, the other dogs are making it nervous. What do you have to do? Socialization.
Oh, yeah.
How do you do that? With engagement. We did a podcast on socialization. I recommend going to review that.
Yeah.
I wish I would have wrote all these.
I think it's I'll pull it up. I think it's episode 3.
Pull up the whole list of podcasts on the
pull it
YouTube channel. There's a playlist, so we can go through and we can call out some of these episodes so people can listen to them specifically.
Yeah, potty training with puppies is number 2. We've said that. Socializing your dog the right way is number 3.
Okay.
Like we had episode number 3, so it's a little bit farther back.
Just keep that up. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode number 3, socialization. All right. So go back to episode number 3 on the podcast. Listen to our discussion on socialization. But if your dog's skittish around other dogs and people and other dogs and people, you got to do socialization. You got to implement that immediately. That's why your dog is struggling on a leash, because it's nervous. You resolve the nervousness with the socialization, the leash walking gets in line with your other obedience that you're doing here. Okay.
Yeah.
So that answers all that. He is also play biting too much. It's not aggressive, but becoming more and more of a problem. He's play biting because we have allowed him to play bite. We've allowed the biting to continue for 6 months up to this point. So we got to stop the biting. We got to implement structure to resolve the biting. So what I would do, keep my dog on a leash. If they try to bite me, no, tug on the leash, give them something else that they can bite on.
Yeah.
Toy, cow ear, bully stick, whatever. If they're refusing that stuff and they're attacking me, not in an aggressive way, but they're just like adamant about biting me, put them in a kennel.
Yeah.
Give them a little bit of a break.
Yeah. Does this fall in the line of what we talked about earlier when we were talking about when you're first training the puppy and having the puppy to have playtime and free time, but if you have too much of the free time or the playtime, then it won't take the training part seriously, or what we were talking about earlier. So is this dog having too much playtime? Is the structure just not there, or is
there's probably lack of structure.
Okay.
Yeah, there's probably lack of structure in the house a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, you say you got a downstay, so implement some downstay time in the house. Implement some kennel time in the house. Sometimes allow the dog to wander around, but if you're allowing it to wander around and it's coming over to play bite you, that's got to stop. So redirect it on something, put it in a downstay, something like that. Yeah. Maybe start if you're playing with your dog with a toy and it's biting you instead of the toy, that's a problem too.
Yeah.
Your dog's got to know, your puppy's got to know that it bites the toy, not you. But usually that's a handler error. It's not really the puppy's. It's not the puppy's fault, because from day one, we could teach the puppy that it's not acceptable to bite humans, right? But unfortunately, in this case, we've allowed that for so long. It's been 6 months. Now we have to change what we're doing to teach that to the puppy now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And so just so people know, we've talked about structure a lot through this whole episode. We have why structure is important for your dog, episode 9, Canine Revolution, so you can go back and check that out as well. Moving on, 8-week-old puppy cries, whines in the kennel. We've already addressed this.
We've already addressed the kennel scenario, did we not? When will my puppy sleep the other night? We talked about the kennel.
Yep.
It's 8 weeks old. You just got it home. You know what I'm saying? It just left its litter and mother, ideally. So ignore it for now.
Yeah.
Do not feed into it. If you feed into it, it's going to continue to persist. You're reinforcing it basically. So simply ignore it. Now, let's say you don't know if your puppy's got a potty or not. It's 8 weeks old. Let's say you go to sleep at 10 p.m. You wake up at 6 a.m. You plan on taking your puppy out at 1 a.m. So at 1 a.m. you get up, you take your puppy out, even if it's whining to go to the bathroom, you just put it right back in its kennel.
Mm-hmm.
If it keeps whining, you ignore it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right, next scenario.
Yep. Moving on. 7-month-old puppy. Separation anxiety. Sounds like it's already established. So they just say separation anxiety and is destructive to everything, even taking items out of my sink and taking it to his bed. His behavior is not just teething and chewing, it's purposeful destruction. When I'm home, he's wonderful, smart, and well-behaved boy. So definitely it sounds like he's doing this when he's at the house by himself. And he also sounds like he has free time if he's taking stuff out of the sink.
Yeah, I mean,
dishes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, ideally put the dog in a kennel when you're not home.
But I mean, yeah, it might be to the point if he's destructive when she's not home or he's not home, you know, could start going ham on that kennel tray.
Could be destroying the kennel.
So you got to be careful about that as well.
Overall, sounds like some structure issues, you know, but the quick fix if your dog's okay in the kennel is to put it in the kennel while you're gone. With that being said, you do still need to make sure you're implementing structure, destructive to everything, taking items out of the sink and taking to his bed. That's kind of like a random thing.
Yeah.
The dog is obviously taking possession of these items. You ever see a dog carrying something around, carried over to its bed?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that fall in line of dominance, or was that just like a weird quirk?
Just a weird
displacement behavior,
maybe?
It's
just like the dog is grabbing items, taking them to their den basically. Mm-hmm. So it's just taking possession of these items.
Interesting.
I wouldn't really say it's dominance, but anyway, his behavior is not just teething and chewing, it's purposeful destruction.
Mm-hmm. Now,
this could be whoever this is, they're thinking that it's purposeful destruction, right? But to the dog, it's just a random item. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So who knows if it's purposeful or not. The dog's definitely destroying things.
Yeah, it could be chewing up some furniture.
Because it's got the separation issue. Plus, it's just a habit set that it has been allowed to continue. So that's an issue. You got to change what you're doing. If you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got, right? So you got to change one aspect of what you're doing at a minimum. When I am home, he is a wonderful, smart, well-behaved boy. Mm-hmm. Seems like there's some other things going on that maybe we're not picking up on. You know, because I'm assuming that when you're home, there's something going on. Mm-hmm. It's not just when you're gone. There's little things going on when you are home as well.
They might just not realize
right,
it either,
we need to identify that somehow. You know what I'm saying, to understand the full picture. But anyway, definitely need to implement some structure. Definitely need to implement a training progression. Now, let's say you do the training progression, you've implemented structure, and your goal is to have your dog out of the kennel while you're at home. There's a progression to that too. You go through the standard training progression, which is in our podcast, one of the other episodes, which we'll talk about in a second. Right? And through that process, you've taught everything. You've taught obedience. You've taught socialization. You've taught distraction work. You've taught accountability. Now you're ready for your puppy to be free roaming while you're not home. Okay? In that case, the way you do that, first, take very short trips. So you leave your puppy out in the house, go out, take a short walk in the neighborhood by yourself, come back, check on the house. Is everything okay? Is everything intact? If it is, your next trip is a short trip to the grocery store or something like that, right? You come back, you know, and you slowly increment your time away from the house, making sure that every time you return, it's good to go. If your dog starts destroying things while you're gone, it's not cool. So obviously it needs to spend more time in the kennel, right?
Yeah. Maybe spend time in the kennel even when you're home.
Even when you're home. Definitely need to do that healthy separation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you can just progress from there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a tricky one. Definitely need some more information on the specific scenario to understand everything that's going on. But I'm telling you, if you implement the standard training progression that we do, which is in our podcast, one of the episodes we'll talk about in a second, that'll resolve the majority of the issues. And then if you want your dog to be out of the kennel while you're not home, follow a separate progression for that.
Yeah.
So let me see that real quick so I can talk about some of these episodes.
Yeah, we have a bunch of puppy episodes already out covering different topics, and then some of the stuff we've already talked about, such as insecurity, separation anxiety, stuff like that, or just anxiety in general, understanding anxiety in dogs, understanding insecurity in dogs, understanding dominance in dogs. You know, we have all these topics covered in separate episodes. So
so just to step through real quick, these are everything we've talked about today. These are the episodes that pertain to that, okay? Canine Revolution Radio on your favorite podcast platform, on YouTube, on Facebook, too. They have their own podcast thing now. All right, you got podcast number 2, which is potty training with puppies and adult dogs. That's a good one, obviously, potty training. Podcast number 3, socialization. Scrolling through them here. Podcast number 9, why structure is important. Excuse me.
That one's probably going to be the most helpful for getting just a general idea of structure. Yeah.
Podcast number 14, dog nutrition with Blair. That's the lady from All Is Well in Somerville.
Very good one.
Podcast number 16, understanding pack dynamics in the canine world. That's actually a good discussion of setting up a structure that can help you formulate your own structure at home. Okay, podcast number 19, the remote collar, facts and fiction. Podcast number 20, top 5 dog training equipment. You might find that useful on some of the stuff you should get for your dog. Podcast number 24, how to fix separation anxiety with your dog. That will help, especially with the one we're talking about, separation anxiety here. All right, here we go. Podcast number 26, how to raise your puppy right from day one. So that is our full discussion, what to do start to finish with your puppy. Podcast number 27, understanding how your dog learns. That's going to talk about canine learning theory. Podcast number 28, what are the steps of the training system? This is what I keep referring back to. Podcast number 28, training progression. Listen to that one. That's our standard training progression. All right. Podcast number 31 is puppy raising considerations from birth to 8 weeks old. So this is for y'all looking to get a puppy. You may find that useful, some considerations. If you're a breeder, that should help with some behavioral stuff, right, to be doing before the puppies go home. If you're a rescue and you stumble upon a litter of puppies, do this stuff. Podcast number 31. All right, and I think that's good. So those will be really good for you guys to review, in addition to everything we talked about today. But that's all the scenarios. So going back, at the end we talked through a couple scenarios. Just imagine, like we talked about, 8 weeks old, incorporating what we've been talking about: structure, schedule, progression. You won't have these issues. That's the thing. Or you may have some little issues that pop up, but it's not going to be anything major. You can train your dog yourself. You may need a coach to help you get to the level you need to get to, or analyze some things. So reach out, if you have a question on that. All right. But Ben, you got any other thoughts on puppies? Think we answered everybody's questions?
Puppies, I mean, like I said earlier, take your time with it. That's just from my experience training my dog. Didn't really have a puppy when I got my first dog. She was already almost 2, so I didn't really deal with the puppy phase. So when I got my younger dog now, she's 2 actually right now. My other dog's 4. But as a puppy, definitely frustrating, as a first time puppy, whatever, having a puppy to take care of, it's going to be frustrating, like the noise at nighttime, the constant if you're having a lot of potty issues in the kennel, always having to clean the kennel out, it can get frustrating. But over time it is worth it, like 6 months from all that stuff you're dealing with initially, you are seeing the payoff, basically. You're able to do these things with your dog at a such younger age, and then by year 1, year 2, you're already past all the beginning steps. You have some people who are getting their dog trained around 3, 4, 5 who don't know any of this stuff. Your puppy is locked down mentally with the structure. From basically day one of you having your puppy, and by year 2, you don't even have to worry about all the basic stuff, and you can already start doing, the off leash. You can do the advanced training stuff if you really, want to go to that level. So it definitely does pay off. The structure, like there's gonna be days where you're like, oh, I don't want to be doing the training right now. If you're going the whole like training your puppy yourself route, there'll be days where you don't want to put the work in.
You might need an off day, honestly.
Yeah.
You might need an off day. Take a walk. Don't do crazy training. Just take a walk.
Just
relax.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple.
But your dog will still need the exercise. It's still a living being.
Yeah.
So you
it's
still
good for you to get out and walk too. It'll help you.
Yeah.
If you just get out and get a little walk in.
Yeah, fresh air, get some vitamin D.
Yeah.
Get that sunlight going.
Yep.
But so all these episodes we have talked about, that we have available right now, check them out. There's a lot more information in those episodes, especially the separation anxiety one, if that's something people deal with. And I mean, I have people now that will reach out to us about separation anxiety with their older dogs. We send them to this episode, and they're like, oh, that helped me understand. Understanding the behavior goes a long way when you're trying to address the behaviors.
Yeah. Exactly.
So understanding it is critical too. So go back, listen to those episodes, and then you'll maybe stumble into some of the other content we have. So and feel free to leave us some 5 stars on Apple, on Spotify. Spotify just launched their 5-star rating system or their rating system, whatever. If you're a YouTuber like me, just put the video on in the background while you're cleaning the house or whatever, or
if you're a YouTuber, like, subscribe, comment. Those all help the algorithm. Help us get the information out to other people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Share it if it helps you. Definitely appreciate the reviews. We appreciate all feedback. Even if it's just a private message to me or Ben or one of the other members of the team. You know what I'm saying? If you guys want to follow me or Ben privately, see some other stuff we're doing. Ben, what's your handle on Instagram? Big Boy Jabba.
Bigboy.jabba. Yeah, I'm a
Jabba.
weirdo, but Big Boy, all one word, and then .jabba.
And I'm ChadSinger.13 at Instagram. Facebook, I'm Chad Singer.
Yeah.
Facebook, Ben's Ben Singer. We got the Canine
I'm
Revolution.
not really on Facebook on my personal account, but yeah.
We got the Canine Revolution. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Canine Revolution Dog Training. We're working on the apparel stuff. We got a little bit of apparel out. We're developing that. We're going to be on Amazon soon.
Let's go.
Look that out. We got some notebooks coming out, some journals.
Yeah.
Training journals on Amazon.
Cool.
Iron Revolution training journals. Canine Revolution dog training journals.
Yep. And in the future, we're working on, a couple online courses for those people who can't, do the training directly with us. Maybe you live far away from us, over here in South Carolina. So be looking out for that. It'll still be a little while until we get around to that. But
that's coming this year, 2022.
Be checking that out for sure.
That goes back to one of the things we talked about. Our goal is to help people with their puppies, with their dogs. It starts with the puppies. Yeah. That's the foundation.
For sure.
If we can impact people and help them get their puppies right, it alleviates problems later in life, right? So that's why we're trying to hammer down on this puppy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you guys like Jocko stuff, if you want to try out these Jocko drinks, you can go to the website, originusa.com. We got a code, Singer101. You can get 10% off. It's legit. You get 10% off. You can get 10% off the jeans. Hey. It's legit.
Wow.
Yeah, it's legit, boys. But anyway, so check that stuff out. Otherwise, if you guys have any other feedback or anything, we appreciate it. We appreciate your support. Hope you all have a good one. Hope you have a great new year.
Happy New Year.
And until next time.